I would like to call to order the Nantucket School Committee meeting of Tuesday, July 22nd. And you have before you an agenda. May I have an approval?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. This meeting is being audio and video recorded. And is there any public comment? Seeing none, we can move on to the superintendent's update.
Sure. So it does say staffing update, but I did want to share something additional. Mandy Bardsley, Melissa Devitt, and I attended the annual MASS Executive Institute for District Leaders last week, July 15th, 16th, and 17th in Mashpee. It's an annual event through MASS. And the theme of this year's conference was "The Future Begins Now, Reimagining Education in Massachusetts." There were some excellent learning opportunities at different conference sessions that we all attended, and some really interesting keynote speakers. I'll give you just a kind of the names of some of the things that I attended, and I might ask at the chair's discretion to our new assistant superintendents if they would like to share anything themselves, but they don't have to. It's just an option if you want. So I went to a session called Supporting Co-Teaching at the Secondary Level. This was given by two superintendents who have a strong co-teaching model where special education and general education work closely together to support students in the classroom. However, there was a lot of discussion that came up around English learners and about co-teaching happening for English learners as well. So it was really nice to have gone to that session and found 5 other districts that are starting and in the process of using co-teaching for multilingual learners as well. And so that's really helpful to us because we are embarking on that model in our elementary and intermediate school this coming year. We do have a couple of co-taught classes at the middle and high school level, but it's really a new area for us, so that was helpful. I had to go to the cell phone pouches, the path to positive outcomes for students. That was given by the superintendent of Northridge. They were early adopters of this after the pandemic and started in 2023. And some of the data that they shared was amazing, as in the percentage of students who failed individual classes went down significantly, like 30%, which is just incredible. And so that in itself shows that, that's just one example, that cell phones are truly a distraction, and that by not having them, students in their schools have made incredible gains. So I love to see how it's gonna happen here. We are in the process right now of setting things up, trying to get things in place. There will be a parent meeting, and we're gonna talk about that coming up soon. We went and listened to a panel around political leadership during turbulent times, and how educational leaders are now put into situations often where they are dealing with some really challenging behaviors, challenging situations around curriculum, around expectations of parents, around groups, independent groups like Turtle Boy and things like that are coming and really attacking education. So that was interesting to hear and to speak with a panel of superintendents who have dealt with some of that. So
Sorry.
yeah.
What's
Turtle Boy? Turtle Boy is a person who has a strong social media presence and finds, digs deeply in different school districts.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and highlights things that are potentially that could raise controversy. So tends to be a little bit right wing pushing. So but interesting. So still, yes, everybody has right to First Amendment rights. So another keynote, which was really good, was Timothy Schreiber. He has an organization that really focuses on a philosophy called the Dignity Index. And the idea is that how we address people and how we speak with people can fall on a kind of continuum of dignity, with one being very low, as in I have such strong beliefs that I consider you to be my is I respect you and honor you for the difference of opinion that you have. Doesn't mean that I will necessarily follow you or be, I'll keep my own opinion, but I want to work with you to make sure that we can at least coexist peacefully and find ways to. So it was really interesting to see that, and this is he does a lot of work in schools and in educational areas that helps people to really understand what to do in situations when there is a profound difference of opinion and real animosity sometimes around that. So I thought that was really interesting, and I'd like to dig into it more, which I think would be
He
helpful.
works with students as well as faculty or community.
Yeah.
And so it's a way that you can talk about, you can put communication around culture into play.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Interesting. And I just lost my there we go. I also saw something very helpful. I already spoke with Martin and Deb Gately about this. Special education financial issues, impact and management. There was an individual from Lexington Public Schools who has a very strong, very specific mindset around special education funding, and I thought that was really helpful, like how to write your circuit breaker requests, how to make sure that you know all of the laws around special education services, IEPs. What you put in the IEP will also determine what you can ask for assistance for in the circuit breaker requests. So there's a lot of very minute details that can really save you hundreds of thousands of dollars. She saved Lexington over $500,000 in digging deeply and understanding. So that in itself to me is like, whew,
Incredible.
yes, I do have her contact information in case we need any more information from her. The national organization AASA did a federal education policy presentation, some of which is not that happy. We will be seeing some cuts in our federal funding. Our English learner funds that go through Title III are going to be gone. We will not have them available to us anymore, which is such a shame. But there are, and reallocation of who is going to be running some of these grants, which makes things a little confusing, especially because, things might be much slower. There's a lot of holding back of funds. We are not seeing funds being released, and that is really a trouble for us because, less so for us because we tend to err on the smaller side of federal funding support, but larger districts where they have millions of dollars tied up in Title I, II, III, IV, and IDEA, it's really challenging. I mean, some are all struggling to cover positions that were always supported by the title grants, and so that's kind of it was a little bit bleak, let's say, but informative. Kelly Gonzalez, who is part of Long DiPietro Gonzalez, a long-standing attorney, school attorney organization, gave us a lot of information about specific legal cases that have been on the docket for a while, and it's always good to hear kind of what the rulings are, things around right to wear certain clothing, things like curriculum. So that was quite interesting, and she and her colleagues are common presenters at our meetings, and if you've been to MASC, often there are opportunities to see her and hear those as well. On day 3, we had a really special keynote, and that was Dr. Leona Tate, who was one of the New Orleans 4, one of the 4 children who were asked to integrate in the 1960s in New Orleans. And so she was a 6-year-old when she was asked to go and be part of a white school, and it was fascinating to hear her story. When you're 6 years old, you don't realize you're going to be a hero or a legend or a deciding factor in history, and so hearing what she has done and the organization that she's created with 2 of her fellow New Orleans 4 has been really special. So it was very emotional and a very meaningful time. The interviewer was the Secretary of Education, Secretary Tutwiler, who is Patrick Tutwiler, who's a wonderful speaker. He is an excellent choice, I think. He was the superintendent in the Chicago Public Schools, born in Mexico, has Hispanic heritage, really understands our students, very approachable, seemed very open and willing to communicate with superintendents, having been one himself. So that was really what I saw. Mandy and Melissa, if there's anything to add, you're welcome to, and if you
I think you did a good
covered it
summary.
all.
I attended one session that was very good around building credibility, which I'll dig into more, but I think you summarized everything very well.
And then just quickly, I'll give you a hiring update. We have hired 19 of our 24 open positions.
Wow.
So we're in a good place. We still have about 5 positions that need to be filled. 1 first grade teacher, 1 floating school nurse, which is a part-time position. And then the rest of our open positions remain in the special services area, and we know that this is still our hardest area to fill. So 2 special education teachers at CPS, 1 social worker at CPS, and 1 tier 3 adjustment counselor at NHS. So we do have some teaching assistant positions open, approximately 6 across the district, so that's also closing in, which is great. And I think we'll be in good shape. I feel comfortable at this point saying, okay, we're gonna make it. So that's it. I'm still a little worried about our needs in special services, but I know we can be creative and figure out how to serve them the best way we can. So that's about it. If I have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Any questions?
For the new teachers or new roles that have been hired, how's housing looking for them?
Not bad. The person to ask is Melissa Devitt. She's our housing coordinator person checking.
Housing has really come through, and I think
Wow.
net for putting the
advertising.
bat signal out
Yeah.
in both of the papers, because I have gotten nonstop calls, some really amazing opportunities to year round, people that aren't looking to make money from the rentals, just looking to have somebody in their space for the winter. Lots of school year, but a couple really good year round. So I think almost everybody that has been hired, and of course we have some outstanding, has a place to land. So it's been very good.
Very lucky. Thank
That's
you
smart.
to Nantucket Education Trust for funding the ads, and thanks to the community. So
I think summer's the time to start pumping it out, because
Sounds like-
we've gotten a lot more right now than we did in the spring when we first announced it.
I just have one question about the co-teaching model. So that is something that's going to be implemented at NES?
yes, we are starting co-teaching at for English learners in the general education classroom.
Okay.
So we'll have an English learner teacher, an NESL teacher, along with the general ed classroom teacher. And this allows for students to stay within their classroom and not be removed for specialized instruction at the upper levels. So we're talking about a level 2 or a level 3, not the brand new beginners who
I
often
see.
do need some very special attention around vocabulary, around building language in their second language. So they do need to have some specialized time outside of the classroom, but it allows for a stronger connection. And it's really the model that the state is moving towards. Everyone is moving towards a co-teaching model. They're finding that it is more practical, it is more acceptable around not removing children from important content instruction that's happening while the students are gone. So it's helpful to do that. So there's a lot of learning around co-teaching, collaborative teaching, and different types of models of co-teaching and collaborative teaching. So we're still learning all about that, and we're really going to use next year as kind of a pilot year to figure this out and to at least build the relationship so that people start to understand what it's like being a co-teacher, because it's different than having your own class, your own students, your own methods and ways of doing things. So it will be learning. It will be a learning curve, but we're excited about that.
Great. Thank you. Yeah.
Just one of the things that struck me, you said you attended a session at the conference on dignity, and it was a scoring model from 1 to 8, I think you said. That sounds very interesting. I was just curious if that could be expanded or brought locally in some way to, oh, I don't know, one of the schools or one particular grade or something to that effect, to try and test it out to see if it's something that we could score here and get some kind of an understanding on between one school or one grade, or maybe expand out to across the district.
We would love to bring the dignity index to the school, but also to the community. I mean, it's
Yeah.
really interesting
Well,
how, yeah,
got
I know.
a question on that one too.
Not easy, but, and they're teaching schools and students how to approach everything that they do as children in the classroom with a sense of dignity. And there's some schools that have adopted as part of their kind of school motto, 5 or higher. Like, we're not gonna drop below 5 on the dignity index.
Mhm.
Meaning, if you and I disagree, we're gonna keep it at a level 5, which means we're gonna respect each other and understand that we may have differences, but we're going to respect that. I'm happy to share much more information in my midsummer update, which will come out in a week or so, and that way you can have actual links to check in on. Tim Shriver is such a meaningful, important person with such a dynamic, charismatic way of presenting. It was really interesting to hear how he kind of has been part of this work. And
I do have these 2 handouts.
Yeah, feel
if
free to pass them
anybody.
around.
One,
Oh, great.
this
Okay.
one is the youth edition, and then this one is a scoring guide that's related to the adult version.
That would be a nice professional
That's
development.
acceptable.
it would be.
It would be nice to implement it after Labor Day.
I was thinking March, which is our special month.
Yeah.
Any
Awesome.
other questions? All right, we'll move on then to presentations and discussions of issues to the committee. Start with the 2025 MAP summative data results with Dr. Bardsley and Melissa Devitt. Are you gonna?
I have to stand.
You're
I can't
approaching
use
the-
it.
approaching the screen.
I think
It's
this
not
would be very good
possible.
for a cabinet retreat.
There's an idea.
All right, so the preamble to this is going to be very similar to what we've discussed previously. We're going to go through the reading data, followed by the math data. We're going to look at growth and achievement, and then we will look at demographics and special populations data. This is our instructional vision. We keep coming back to this as the driving factor, the influence behind all the decisions that we are trying to make. And I think the next slide is more important in terms of the assessment system. So we know that we have MCAS data coming out in the next couple of weeks, embargoed still. So following this, we are going to start diving into the MCAS data to look at correlations between them. But the MCAS is for the state to verify learning. When we're talking about MAP, it's our universal screener, and we use it to monitor the learning that's going on across the district. We also use it as a universal screener in terms of flagging students that we know we want to put extra supports into place. And so we're able to make adjustments during the year to try to support the students in the best way we can. We're going to talk about the growth percentile, achievement percentile, norm, and median. The growth and achievement percentiles are using medians. So if you put all your numbers in a row, it's the one that's in the middle. That's so that the average a high score or low score doesn't pull it in one direction or another. The achievement is from the first assessment in the fall, and then growth is measuring how much growth has occurred between the fall. The last presentation was fall to winter, and now we're looking at fall to spring. The norm is the 50th percentile, so we're hoping to get above the 50th percentile for growth and above the 50th percentile for achievement. So that would mean that we are in this right-hand corner. So above the horizontal axis is growth, and to the right of the vertical axis is achievement. All right.
Okay. So what I showed is from last time we were showing the winter scores, and now we have the spring. So I wanted to show the movement, and if you can see, the kindergarten here has moved up to where we want them to be going, and the first grade has also moved up, and the second grade has moved up. We're not in the quadrant we want them at, but they are going in the right direction.
And that was our hope after looking at the data in the winter, was that we knew that we had more time on learning. There's a large bulk of time in
then, Mandy's been able to really go through the demographic data for, math because she has more data. For ELA, we're all kind of on the same playing field because everybody's really below, what we would expect them to be. So hopefully next year we'll be able to really take those, different subgroups apart and get some better data, but right now everybody is, in need of improvement, so.
All right, with math, I put this together a little bit differently because we have been at this for a while. I do want to note that I was not able to go back more than 2 years to get this data, so I manually graphed the first one using the data. The report wouldn't work. We started with the needs assessment in 22, so this is where we were in math at NES in 23, which was when we did the curriculum review. This was year 1 of our curriculum, and this is year 2 of the curriculum. So I am happy to report that NES is now up in the top right quadrant, which is where we want to go, where we want to be. We still have more growth that we can be, an achievement that we can work towards, but you can see the trajectory that we've had across the 3 years. So I think that also, in reflecting back on what Melissa just presented, gives us hope that when we are doing this with diligence and we have the professional learning and accountability in place, that we start to make change over time. I like to see this goal of the growth being in the green, and Mike Horton's going to say, but it comes down to achievement, Mandy, it comes down to achievement, right? We're starting to see the achievement change, right? So here we see first grade has the growth in the 71st percentile, which is what we want to see. And we see kindergarten has an achievement in the 62nd percentile, so those are good. But we are seeing the growth moving up, and when the growth is moving up, the achievement is going to follow it. When we go to NIS, you can see the trajectory across the 3 years again, and you can see that NIS is for the 2nd year in a row in the top right quadrant. And if you follow the grades, 3, like we are continuing to grow. Those are pretty much the same from the last year to this year. And 4th grade, and you can also look at 5th grade, or you could look at the cohorts, which we did last time, and we can see from 3rd grade to 4th grade to 5th grade, we're making a lot of progress. There was a little bit of a drop there, but overall, it's looking very good. The growth for the whole school is in the 76th percentile. Achievement is the 55th percentile. And we can see that 4th grade was able to get their achievement up to the 66th percentile. So we're starting to get that change that we've been really striving for. CPS was pretty spread over here in 23, I'm sorry. We did not make a change last year. We held firm and waited, and the curriculum reveal came out with a new edition that matched the K-5 curriculum in terms of pedagogy. And so we made a move on that, and it looks like the change is starting to pay off. The professional learning, it's never just one thing, right? Like a curriculum is not a magic fix. And Melissa was just saying that, right? The curriculum's not the magic fix. It's the curriculum with the professional learning, and the teachers bring the magic with all of it together. We have to get the systems in place that will provide the support for teachers so that the students can have the maximum amount of learning. So you can see 7th grade has increased every year. 6th grade is about the same from last year, a little bit more achievement. And then 8th grade has been lots of growth across all 3 years, and the achievement is moving slightly towards the right. And as a school, 69th percentile for growth, 50th percentile for achievement. I think we need to celebrate 6th grade here with the 71st percentile for growth, and 8th grade, 90th percentile in growth.
That's fantastic.
So that is this is what we want to see, the green and the blue that Melissa was just talking about, right? We want to see it shifting over towards the right. In terms of the special populations and demographic groups, we know special populations we're talking about our English language learners and our students on IEPs. Our subgroups
In math, the observed growth, so what the students had this year, for special populations and demographic groups, was equal to or greater than their projected growth. So everybody made their projected growth, which is really good news. We know, except for, there's an exception, we know that the grade 2 data was lower this year, and we were monitoring what was going on. They made a lot of progress from the winter to the spring, but it was still on the lower side. So that is something that we are going to continue to explore and put resources into place to support that team. In math, we are closing the gap between the average observed growth in special populations and demographic groups compared to the growth of all students. So our subgroups are closing the gap compared to everyone. This is really, really good news. One thing to further explore is students on IEPs. In most cases, they are meeting their projected growth, but not observing as much growth as all students. So to me, my next question is, why might that be happening? Do we need to look at this data by different programming and see if we need to parse it apart a little bit more to understand what's going on? But the fact that we are making the projected growth is huge. And I would just say that as a reminder, like, it's important for us to be looking at this data because in terms of accountability, the accountability system for MCAS, the school ratings essentially, are all based on whether our special populations and subgroups are making their goals. And if they are making their goals, then that's what they look at in order to form us. So technically, that's why it's important. Philosophically, we want to make sure that each student has the opportunity that they need. And if there are achievement gaps or opportunity gaps that we're seeing in the data, then we need to dive in and figure out what's going on. And so it's very important for us to be monitoring all of this. Next steps for math. We have PD planned, K to 5, we have 2 half days. We've switched to more of a model of like a conference style, which came out of we have a math teacher leadership group, and that's something that they wanted some choice and to choose sessions that they wanted to attend. So we switched to that type of model in January, and that it has been really well received. So we will do that twice more. And then we'll continue to work with Allison Mello is going to come and work with our new teachers to help the onboarding process. We have a new teacher, 2 new teachers in 1st grade. 2nd grade we have 1, and then 3 5th grade teachers. So it's this constant change that's really, really difficult. We've had 4 years of professional learning to try to bring them on board. And then at CPS, we'll have 3 or 4 touch points in terms of supporting the teachers in their 2nd year with the curriculum. So that's all planned. My special focus, I really want to work with the special educators of math and work with them to help them use different resources for different purposes and make sure that we're thinking about it with a systems lens.
Great.
And that is the math data.
Thank you, Mandy. Any questions? Tim?
No, it's encouraging.
Chantal?
Why didn't we test the 8th grade?
In ELA in the winter?
Mm-hmm. I think we didn't because Mike can chime in on this, a little bit of testing fatigue in 8th grade. So I think actually when you're looking at NIS2 and CPS, I think that when you're looking at literacy, the MCAS is so much different in literacy than it is in math. And I think when you see the dip in those scores, it's because they've taken the MCAS, they're taking the MAP testing, they're taking, the 8th graders really get.
They get civics.
They get civics, they get math, science,
ELA,
and ELA.
And
So.
then MAP on top of it.
MAP on top of it. And talking to Mr. Davis, when he didn't do it in the winter, he feels like he feels very strongly that it isn't worth it at that time because it's more important to do the benchmark at the beginning and at the end. And I supported him with that decision in the middle because I think that he was right at that point in time. It wouldn't have given us any more information than we had already had because it didn't drill down to where we wanted it to. But it is a conversation for next year.
And I do think bringing up this, I idea of MCAS too, right? Like that's, will this data now show up in MCAS?
Mm.
And that is our true hope that with math at least, that we're gonna start to see that shift. We saw it with 3rd grade last year. There are some key differences between math and MCAS. There's no extended response on math. It's all multiple choice. So the writing piece, which we know is a struggle, shows up, and so we need to tease that apart. Math is also, it adjusts based on the student's ability. So it can have a lower entry point to allow students to get in and get some right answers and then build up. That makes sense. Whereas MCAS is grade level, so if you're not at grade level, then it's harder to figure out how well you're doing. So those two things playing out are really important differences between these two assessment systems.
So you mentioned about if you see declining scores for a particular grade, that you can then be able to dig in to find out what's going on. Do you have any examples of that, or how has that had to happen yet?
I think, and maybe you've seen it as a parent too, when you get your forms home for your MAP scores.
Mm-hmm.
So on there, after they have tested, there is another section on there where you can drill down, and it says this is how you can help your child, or it's also that way for this is how you can group your students for teachers too. So you can go in there and you can really take that information they're giving you and align that with the standards and say, okay, I'm going to pull this group of kids and I'm going to work on this skill, or I can pull this group of kids and I can work on a different skill, or my TA can pull this group. So it really gives you explicit examples of what you can do with those scores. Your child is really great on this, so you don't need to cover this again, but they're really struggling in this area.
In math, it takes it to another level, in that the assessment map is integrated with our math curriculum, and so it will group the students. And it will say this is a topic or a skill they need more on, and this is what you can do with them. It provides small group lesson plans, but also things that they could do individually. We also have instances where we've gone in and we tried to do more professional development with teachers, or we go in and we see what might be, we've also reworked what we were doing with our intervention system for math. And so I think it just really, it opens up lots of questions, right? We see the data, we have to ask questions of the data and then try to investigate and see what our best next step is.
Well, that's kind of what I'm trying to ask about and what I'm curious about. So this is, there's obviously every student and every parent has the responsibility, but this is metadata per grade. So this is across the entire grade, and then you have it broken down by special population and subgroup. Have you had to go in and take out any special population, say the English learners, or provide assistance to English learners who got low math scores in any particular grade?
So our English learners would be built into the intervention system, and would be receiving services that way.
Yeah.
But there was not in the data, English learners were not flagging as in the metadata as being lower than other students.
Was there any of those groups?
The standard deviation was within like 1. Like I did the average, I can share that with you when I looked across the whole district.
So when you were looking at it for the special populations and the subgroups, did anything get flagged?
That one is something I want to dig into more. It was, I think it was 4%. An average of 4, I would say it's percentiles.
Okay.
I need to go back and look at the data again. But I really think that my theory, my hypothesis here is that if we dig into the different programming, that it might not be a blanket. I don't think we can make a blanket statement for all students in that are on IEPs.
Okay.
I think that there are differences between programming. So.
But I do think it's going to be a really important tool as we're rolling out literacy, because right now we have really no way to pinpoint it back to curriculum, because everybody's kind of all over the place with the way they teach literacy. So next year when we have the programming in place, especially at NIS where we'll have high quality instructional materials, we'll be able to look at that map data and say, okay, this program really isn't hitting what we need them to be doing in the area of
Right.
fluency, or you know, whatever standard, and we'll be able to use it that way to make sure that if we have to supplement something, we know exactly where it needs to come from. Right now in literacy, it's all over the place. We don't have that.
So that's kind of to the point of my question. So you're testing the kids per grade, and then in any grade you're not getting any of your special flag groups.
In some of the grades we are.
You are. Oh.
But I just presented like more
Altogether.
holistically across the whole district.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Esmeralda?
No questions.
This is not really a question, I just really applaud the professional development around all of this, and that you're giving teachers that choice for that conference style, because at the end of their day, the way that they receive it will have all the difference. And if they are engaged in that process, I think that's great. So I just, I think that that's wise, and I would love to hear more about the professional development sort of going forward, because I think it's such an important component, especially teachers that are not involved in a program, just to receive that, you know, sort of infusion of new practices and things.
And I think it's a continuum of where you are, right? When you are starting new, there has to be
Right.
a lot around the baseline of what we're all doing. But we were past that point in math, and they wanted flexibility in terms of what they were learning. And choice. And I think sometimes that choice needs to be dictated if you have a new teacher coming
Sure,
in.
right, of course.
But our teachers are professionals, and they know what they need to go in and learn more about.
Yeah, that's great. Any other? Yeah, Chantal?
You mentioned that the black kids don't, there's no data for them because there aren't enough of them per grade, I'm assuming?
Statistically significant. So,
Okay.
right, by grade. So if it's less than 10 students, it won't put them as a group and show the data.
So to follow up on that, in terms of statistical significance, and you say less than 10, not knowing how many kids are in each grade, is there a percentage that you have, like less than 5%, less than 10%, and then it doesn't show up as significant?
It's small.
I'm pretty sure MAP and MCAS are different.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna confuse it off the top of my head, but I'm fairly certain in MAP that if it's less than 10 students, that it won't show the subgroup data.
Okay.
So how do we assess whether or not the black kids are getting the support that they need if it's not breaking out?
You have to drill down by individual student.
By hand.
Yep, by hand.
And
And that
Are
has not been done.
are you guys drilling down? Are we relying on the teachers to sit down and go?
It has the ability, so we show you the overall, but it does show by students. So we could have, you know, John, and you can see exactly where he is and what he needs to work on and what he does well and through the program. So yes, and the teachers do utilize that. I think the teachers actually utilize MAP more than we do because we just generalize it, but they use it for differentiation and they use it for intervention. So it helps them do their groupings.
If I may, through the chair, it's, we have put into place professional learning communities this year, committees, and PLCs do look at individual student data, and MAP is definitely part of that. So, so I think that teachers are really looking at what each student needs, and that is helping them to identify how to do intervention, not only in the classroom, but then if there's anything that needs to go outside of the classroom with our reading specialists or math specialists, and interventionists, that's definitely happening. Is it happening? We don't have as much attention, you know, globally because simply there aren't enough students. We see that same problem in MCAS because they're the same situation. We don't get the data if there are fewer than I think 20 in MCAS. I think that's the number in 20, less than 20 in MCAS. So that's where we just have to drill down and work individually. So, but I don't feel that they're necessarily getting left behind. We're just not seeing it as a group.
They would be built into the all students group and all.
Any other questions? Thank you.
I hear your point though.
All right, so I'm the next one.
Yes.
I promise I'll go quickly. I just wanted to share with you a mid-cycle update. As you are all aware, I'm on a 2-year evaluation cycle, and just finished 23, 24 my goals for two reasons. Number one, they're pretty lofty goals that have a lot of time built in over and you know, an opportunity to use 2 years to cover. That was by design because I knew I was on a 2-year goal. But the other piece was I was incapacitated for a little part at the beginning of the school year last year. And for that reason, there are certain things that I was not able to get to. So and so I want to just kind of clarify a few things. So I'm really going to focus on the areas that are highlighted. And I apologize. Part of the highlighting is blue and part of it is red, so it got a little confusing. I think it was given to you without the complete adjustments being made. But still, we're talking about the highlighted pieces. So the first goal, which is professional practice, sustaining a culture of belonging and inclusion through collaborative engagement. So the goal itself is pretty much the same. I would like to continue to build a strong foundation for myself, for the district leadership team, and for the Nantucket School Committee for the critically important work of creating and sustaining a culture of belonging and inclusion with collaborative engagement in the classroom. So one of the new parts of the key actions and benchmarks has to do with, some of these are the same, so you know, I'm still working on district leadership to build and maintain these positive culture pieces and, in the learning and working environment. Sustaining our responsive classroom practices in all of our schools that have responsive classroom, supporting year 2 of restorative practices at NHS, supporting and attending faculty meetings and newly created professional learning teams. So this is second year for all schools, so I'm going to stay where that is. And then this year, I want to support allied professional development through the 1-8 Foundation at NHS. I did not have those in my goals at the beginning of last year because we didn't know we were going to be part of it at that time. So I'm glad to have put that in there because that is a very large part of the strong foundation around collaborative culture and belonging in the classroom. We talked a lot about applied learning. You saw a presentation in the spring, so that definitely comes in there. I will not be continuing with the group of leaders that went. So that was the high school principal and the 2 assistant principals, because the next part of the work is more of a planning model. And as much as I would love to be part of that as a superintendent, it's best that I have the right people in place. So we are adding an instructional coach to do some of the planning with them, because I think that is a meaningful way to allow that learning to continue into the classroom. Walkthroughs, working with district leaders at least 3 times per year and focusing on collaborative learning. The new key action step, which is replacing Mass Ready, for 2 reasons. I had a Mass Ready goal, which was around equity, inclusion, and that I was going to be continuing professional learning last year. I missed the 2 in-person meetings because I couldn't go anywhere. So unfortunately, I could not do that last year. So I replaced it with this, which I think is actually really important, especially because it is less of my own learning. I'm certainly included in this, but this is also around our whole district administrative team. We're putting together and supporting a year-long professional development opportunity to really focus on building structures and skills to support safe and meaningful discussion around leadership cohesiveness in our team. Our team has gone through different iterations with new leaders coming in and out, and it is time for us to have an opportunity to really build that cohesiveness to allow for high function. Our team works well together, but there is a lot of room for improvement, and so with that, the hope is that by having support and professional development for our leaders, that will really work well. So communicative collaboration across the district, allow our teams to move towards trust and transparency, and
anyone?
Okay, moving on. Student learning is going to be much the same. It's a continuation. So I will lead the district successfully towards improvement of student growth and achievement in ELA, literacy, math, science. And I added social studies this year because we now include social studies in math, in MCAS. So that will be another area of focus, and you'll see it in some of the key action steps. So with the district leadership team, I will support implementation of high quality professional development and collection and analysis of data throughout the year. Much of the bolded and not blue language is similar and brought over from last year, but the new pieces are important. So year one, this year will be the first year for an ELA literacy curriculum at NIS and at grade 6. So I want to make sure I'm supporting the rollout of that. And also strengthening science of reading curriculum and authentic text components at NES. So those two areas will be a really major focus for professional development, and I want to make sure that I, as the superintendent, am supporting that through visibility, but also working with both principals, school leaders, and district leaders to make sure it's a good rollout. And then also year 2 social studies curriculum at CPS. We have more working with the Democratic Knowledge Project, et cetera. In the second part, working to continue that instructional practices are changing. Continuation of year 2 professional learning community, so that's our PLCs. And rather than a focus on ELOs, which was the essential learning outcomes, which was focusing on what the standards were that needed to be taught and addressed, we now need to shift it into a stronger implementation model. So much more around using data to really identify and put, have the rubber hit the road, so to speak, with targeted tier 1 and tier 2 interventions. So what does it really look like? We've identified what the needs are, who needs what we need to do, but then we have to do it. So that's what I really want to work on for this year with teachers, with leaders, with everyone with that. Goal 3 is around district improvement, safe and secure learning environments and working environments for all. So this is a continuation again around safety and security. Some of these were completed, so I just wanted to mention, because this is also an update, we have been able to complete some of these over the course of this year. I did want to add a new creation and implementation of an action plan to address selected areas of needing improvement highlighted in our safety audit. We shared with you the safety audit, shared the areas that we need to work on. So that's going to be a focus this year, is creating an action plan to address those and making sure, and if we can actually get going on them, that would be great. Things such as our arrival and dismissal procedures, things like that. The completed version was our safety handbooks. We do have those in place going forward for probably lacked the most over the course of last year, simply because I wasn't as available to be able to do as much of the work that I wanted to do. Most disappointing to me, something that I really want to be focusing on next year, are the bullets at the bottom. Sharing a superintendent's quarterly newsletter. I really want that to happen for the school committee, families and staff. I think it's time. Often I heard during the pandemic, we get too many, updates. Please just keep it to the schools. But I'm finding that I feel like I'm lacking in communicating with the general school population and parents and school committee, of course. I mean, you do get my weekly updates, but sometimes a larger publication can be good. And certainly building more capacity with our local media outlets. I think we've seen some improvement with that this year, so I'm really pleased about that, and I want to keep that going. And then finally, the superintendent student advisory. That's the one I missed the most, is really building relationships with students in their in the schools. I loved to meet with students and hear their voice and find out what their concerns were. So I really want to make sure that that is a major part of my my work next year, is speaking with students, hearing them, finding out what they love, what they don't love as much. And then we are going to launch our website finally in August, most likely August 15th, but don't hold your breath just yet, because we want to make sure it's all ready to go. So, and so that's it. I'm happy to answer questions. Hopefully you'll feel comfortable with the layout, and I'm always happy to go into more detail.
Great. Any questions, Tim?
No.
Chantal?
No questions from me.
Tim?
I'm the other Tim. Yeah. No, it looks great. Only one minor comment, not a question. Looking forward to the quarterly newsletter. I think it's a lovely idea.
No questions. Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
All right. So we'll move on to committee discussions and votes to be taken. Vote to approve the donation from the Nantucket Education Trust to the Nantucket Community Schools Summer Boost for $5,000.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve the donation from the Community Foundation for Nantucket to the Nantucket Community School Adult English for Speakers of Other Languages program for $20,000.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve the donation from the Community Foundation for Nantucket to the Nantucket Community School Summer Boost program for $11,000. This was a typo.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve the donation from Egan Maritime Institute to the Nantucket High School Vocational Technical Horticulture Program for Heather Ring for $2,569 to be deposited into the gift account.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve the donation from Egan Maritime Institute to the Nantucket High School Vocational Technical Horticulture Program for Heather Ring for $2,569, and that was a repeat from the above, which I did not realize.
For the chair, there's
Yes.
2 checks you have to.
There are. Oh, pardon me. I thought it was a repeat. To be deposited into the gift account. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Katie. And vote to approve the donation from Egan Maritime Institute to the Nantucket High School Vocational Technical Horticulture Program for Heather Ring for $10,000 to be deposited into the gift account.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve the 2025 to 28 contract for Dr. Mandy Bardsley, Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve the 2025 to 2028 contract for Melissa Devitt, Assistant Superintendent of Academic Operations.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Vote to approve the June 2nd reorganizational meeting minutes.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve the June 3rd, 2025 meeting minutes.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve the June 9th, 2025 scholarship meeting minutes. All in favor? Motion?
Motion approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I feel like you, Tim, we're moving along. Vote to approve the June 17th, 2025 meeting minutes.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve the June 20th, 2025 meeting minutes.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve transfers and invoices.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
An agenda for the next meeting.
Hang on. Our next meeting is on, August 19th, and it will be a retreat, so we will plan to meet together, and I think that will be the time that we will work, together to, discuss the school committee goals. Our hope is to have some kind of a draft document, with the new, Department of Education standards and indicators, that aligns with kind of the document that we have now, and then we can determine what areas we would like to focus on. And if I may, I'll speak with you about potentially inviting our, assistant superintendents to join us at that meeting. Would be great.
So great. Thank you.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations.
August 19th is not public
No.
for
No.
principals and other staff?
No.
So our
You're
next,
welcome to come, it's a workshop, but.
our next meeting would be the first day of school most likely?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
September 2nd-ish?
Yes, correct.
Cool. Good to see everyone.
Thank you for coming.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, I sent you a
Yeah.
message.
I wrote you back.
Oh,
I haven't looked at it.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Like
Like
this. Can we do it 9 or 9:30?
Just give me
Better
this
for
back.
me to come to you or?
Whatever you want
Oh,
to do.
yeah.